Bare Knuckle News fans, Susan Cingari here, backstage with the big winner, Luis Baboon Palomino, the brand new BKFC King of the Streets champion. Baboon, that has a really nice ring to it. I like it. Talk to us about the fight and how you're feeling right now.
Feeling great. It's been a whole year, and I worked really hard to reinvent myself. I worked really hard to improve on certain things, and we showed it tonight. We came in here against a younger opponent, taller, longer, somebody that's to be able to get a record of 8-2 in this specific organization, the UFC of bare knuckle shows, the top of the cream. To be able to get an 8-2 record speaks for itself. And the only two losses that he has were one was against the champion at 145. The other one was against Jimmy Rivera, which is a UFC former fighter, high level. So he came in here, he did his job, but I show once again, age is none but a number, and I am the best in this organization.
Like a fine wine, he gets better with time, I would have to say. When you look at your performance tonight, what were your thoughts about how you did? And did you have to make any adjustments when you were fighting with him?
Well, the whole idea was to get in there and close that gap because he's very long and he doesn't fight really well on the inside. I don't like the fact that every time we get into the clinch, they separate it so quick. There should be a little bit of leeway there because I was planning on working a lot in the clinch. But at the moment that we got into a clinch, they separated. I'm like, hey, hold up a second. Because he's not comfortable in the clinch. Yeah. And I could have done a lot more work there. But that was the only one of the things that I had to adapt to. I said, okay, if they're going to let me work in the clinch, then I'm going to have to just stick in and out and move more lateral. And that's what we did. We executed.
By the way, fight fans, I've known him for years, and he's never satisfied with his performance. That's why he is always going to be winning, and he's always got. How many wins do you have now? I think you have the most wins. Come on, you know the stat better than me.
10-1 now, today.
10-1 now. And that's just in this organization.
Just in this organization.
All right, so you changed camps for this particular fight, and it sure looked like it made a big difference. Let's talk about that.
My old gym, my old trainer, he did a great job. We collected all these titles together. I came from the MMA world to the boxing with him, and he's an amazing trainer. We have a very good relationship. Thing is, I was getting so cleaned up in the technicality of the boxing that the animal side of me and the aggression kind of like subsided a little too much. Mm-hmm. And bare knuckle is not boxing. Bare knuckle is a mixture of boxing and brawling. So that animal needed to be brought back out. Going and moving to making the change to boxer gym, it's not just one man show anymore. I have a whole team behind me. I got Mateo, Coach Maha, which Coach Maha is my #1 trainer. Coach Mateo is my second. I have Coach Wolf, which is my strength and conditioning trainer. And I have a whole entire team. I got the pleasure to work with David Benavidez' father. There's so many people that, gravitate towards boxer, very high level people that you get to learn and soak in from different people. So my experience grew, and at the same time, Coach Maha brought that animal out of me again. So we kept the cleaning of the boxing, but with my old aggression.
You bring up a very good point because people really don't understand how mental the sport is. And I feel like sometimes, they think you go in there and you're just sticking and moving, you're jabbing, you got your footwork. But it is really a huge part of the game. The mental aspect makes or break it. Would you not agree?
100%. 80% of this fight game is mental. And that's where Mateo comes in. Coach Maha's from Russia. Yeah. And people would say there's a language barrier there. Not with me. We clicked from day one. And his English is not perfect, but we clicked. He's a little crazy, but his crazy matches my crazy. We got good work together. Now Mateo, on the other hand, Australian, but speaks very good English, very motivating with the words, the right things to say. So, like I said, I have a whole team now.
All right, 305 versus 954, Broward versus Dade. Not a big surprise, I think, for Luis Baboon Palomino from the 305. How did that fuel the fire for you tonight?
It was great. I've been repping Dade for so long. I believe that out of Dade County, I am the only one holding all these titles. I have 8 titles in bare knuckle, and even though they're not in big organizations, I have 4 titles in 4 different organizations from Florida too in MMA. So, hey, I don't think anybody has repped Dade the way I do.
I agree. I agree. The OG. You know, I want fans to understand a little bit more about your loss last time, and not being disrespectful, but we do have some neophyte fans. The sport has grown. I started BKFC 6, so it's important for them to understand some of the technicalities of the sport. You told me in my last interview that you had a cold start. Explain what that means and how it impacted you when you lost to Austin Trout.
To begin with, no excuses. I had a stomach virus that my wife also caught. My wife lost 30 pounds. And this is when I moved up to defend 165 pounds. So, ironically, and this is, BKFC has the information, when I fight at 155, I weigh in at 155, and when I perform, I'm about 170, 172. Today I was 174. So I'll bounce back to 174, right? Okay. In the fight where I defended my title 165, and I didn't cut the weight because I couldn't keep the weight on because I had food poisoning, I weighed 163 that night, and my opponent was 184. So to begin with, there was a mismatch in the weight. Nobody knows about that. It's not an excuse, it's the truth. And then for second, to answer your question is, my coach had somebody else. I was the main event. Then there was a co-main event, and then there was somebody else. That somebody else, my coach was downstairs, one-man army. I was alone upstairs. I didn't get to warm up. I don't make the same mistake twice, so I had to make changes. I did. I got a whole team behind me, and I came in warm and hot today, and you guys saw the difference.
You know, a lot of the fighters will not only fight through physical injuries, but mental injuries. You guys just are a different breed. I mean, how did you do that? You got the stomach virus, you feel like and you still showed up. I mean, how does that work?
Well, to be fair, I wasn't feeling like but I did have the problem of not being able to keep the weight that I should have. I had worked so hard to gain that weight. It takes so long because I'm not that big, and I lost it all like weeks before the fight. But to be fair, I didn't feel any weakness other than just being lighter, and how do you fight through it? You got to go for it, man. When God tells you, hey, it's time to fight, you fight, and there's no excuses to be made. If, you win, you celebrate, and if you lose, you go home, you learn, and you recalibrate, come back and adapt.
Now, you've got a choice to make. I know we're all waiting to hear which weight class, what you're going to do. What are your thoughts on moving, and who do you want to fight next?
My weight class is 155.
Okay.
Now, my rematch with Trout is pending. If they're going to give me that rematch, I would love it right away. I'm not going to fight anybody else at 165 if it's not for the title. I don't deserve to fight anybody else if it's not for the title. Right now, the only fight to make is a title, either at 165 or give me my title back at 155, or give me a money fight. Give me somebody that we're going to make some real money with.
When you say give me the money fight, I talked to Dustin Barilla tonight. He called Uriah. Any of the past fighters, any of the other organizations? Because, gosh, he's got to go to the Wikipedia, go Google this guy. I think he's fought 5 pages of fighters. Is there anybody else from another organization that you'd like to see move over to BKFC, and why?
I'm tired of calling people out, to be very honest with you. I've done it for too many years. Mike Perry, Eddie Alvarez, Chad Mendes, and crickets. So, let them bring them. Tell me, hey, this is how much you get for this fight, and let's get it.
Before we go to that, any friends, family, or sponsors you'd like to thank, Luis?
Yes, and I don't want to forget about everybody, but to begin with, my whole family, my mother, my beautiful wife that's supported me since day one of BKFC, Florida Yachts International, Amore Skincare. I mean, it's very hard to remember everybody, but all my sponsors that were on my shorts, all my sponsors that were on my banner, thank you all so much for your help and your support. Blackout Coffee, thank you all. Thank you.
Luis, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. Age is just a number, my friends. A true warrior, fought through it, did his job. It's great to see you back in the winner's circle. For Bare Knuckle News, I'm Susan Cingari, and this is
Luis Baboon Palomino.
And remember, fight fans, no one beats us to the punch.